This video is going to be a look at what the Baltimore Ravens defense did in San Francisco in Week 16, Christmas night football game. They put on a show, a big play show to be specific. Final score ended up being 33-19. Sure, the 49ers offense gained a lot of yards. They actually outgained the Ravens 429 to 343, so outgained them by like 85 yards. Christian McCaffrey ran for 103 yards. 49ers also generated 7 plays of 20 yards or more, including a 58-yard catch to George Kittle that I'll show you, and a 39-yard run by McCaffrey in the second quarter that I will not, just for the purpose of this video. So clearly, San Francisco found success with generating big plays, creating space, and then taking advantage of it. They're a really good offense, one of the best in the NFL this season. In fact, they're year in and year out, they're among the best. But the point is, many of the things they tried to do were disrupted by the Ravens' defense. Some of it was coverage, some of it was pass rush, some of it was run defense, and some of it was guys like Patrick Queen talked about making contact with receivers while they're trying to run their route and get free releases and disrupting them to an extent that the 49ers were not accustomed to dealing with. Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold combined to throw 5 interceptions. People want to absolve them of blame or absolve the 49ers of blame. They're fluky. Is it the Ravens' split field coverages? Is it the pass rush? Is it really smart DBs and second-level players, particularly Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, and Kyle Hamilton, who can play multiple coverages on any given snap? Throw Marlon Humphrey in there, too. Was it fluky or bad luck? Probably a combination of all of those things, and with the smallest factor being the last one that I mentioned. I refuse to say that a 5-interception game is bad luck. I want to show you some of the plays, the ways that the Ravens disrupted, influenced, challenged this 49ers offense. And I want to talk about one of the things that Patrick Queen said Monday night, I guess, in a press conference, kind of echoing some really famous words by Ray Lewis. He said something like, you've still got to line up and play football, meaning regardless of what you want to do, try to make it basketball on grass, spread offenses, spread you out horizontally, use 3 wide receivers, etc., etc. You still got to line up and play football. You've still got to get you're still got to get touched. So that's our mindset, and that's how we want to play. I love it. I love and you can see it. You can see it on field. Making contact with people, and Patrick Queen is one of the biggest ones. I'll try to point out 2 examples here. On the coverage element, it's the multitude of coverages that the Ravens play for sure, but it's also the efficiency with which they play them. With whenever they're deployed or Mike Macdonald chooses to call a particular coverage, everybody executes it at extremely high level. No one's open on some of these reads for Purdy except the underneath guys. Not the first read, not the second read, not open, so he's got to work down, and by that time the pass rush is there or a window has closed off, and Purdy or Sam Darnold later on recognizes the window's closed, and one of those second-level defenders could either pick it off, disrupt the play, or after going through all of that work from a quarterback and offensive line standpoint, guy catches the ball underneath the coverage and the Ravens tackle him for a 3 or 4 yard gain. Everything has a price. And in some of these situations, from the quarterback standpoint, the price is not worth hanging in there and going to the third read when there's so many variables they're trying to process post-snap. It's a great job by the Ravens defense, their defense coordinator, all of their DB coaches, all of them, and the players going out and executing it. Look, many teams are multiple. The good defenses all are at any level, but not all of them are as efficient, as tight across each coverage like the Ravens were in their coverages and blitz choices against the 49ers Monday night, and I thought that had a huge impact on San Francisco's offense, specifically their quarterbacks. Let's get to the film. I think the yardage issue is actually very misleading, to be real with you, because the Ravens forced the 49ers to turn the football over so much. We had short field multiple times. We got a field goal in the second quarter after Kyle Hamilton's second pick and didn't have to gain a yard to do so. We actually lost 3 yards to get that field goal. We also had a score in the third quarter. 1-play drive, Lamar hits Zay Flowers on the 9-yard touchdown pass after Queen's interception, which I will show you to begin this film study. But when the Ravens offense needed to go the length of the field or chose to, we went 89 yards in 11 plays to get a field goal in the third quarter that made the score 33-12. That yardage discrepancy, I think, is misleading at times. And this is one of those cases. it can give people a misperception of the way the game flowed, the gameplay, the competitive balance. The Ravens disrupted a lot of what the 49ers like to do and put them in situations they were not accustomed to and that they did not respond well to at all. Let's get to the film. We're actually going to start with Patrick Queen's interception, 7th possession, I believe. So we're starting this kind of at the end because I just want to point out or ask you, who's open? I mean, I didn't think that this little outside motion by the running backs was really fruitful for the 49ers. You got quarter, half, if you ask me. Quarter, half, cover 6. This corner is in the flats. The other flat defender is Kyle Hamilton, the nickel. For me, that's a dead giveaway that it's quarter, half. 4 under, 3 deep, but it's not a cover 3 coverage. Travis Jones is winning here. Lined up as a 5 technique defensive end to the bottom side of the screen. Pretty amazing. Just overwhelming the right tackle. Gets a piece of Brock Purdy, and this to me is illustrative of what the Ravens did against the 49ers offense. We disrupted them. Brock Purdy's trying to go through his progression, can't get through it without being disrupted, without being contacted, physically contacted, and that's still the name of the game. I think Patrick Queen's spot on with his quote. He didn't say it, but he said it. The nature of the game hasn't changed if you're all committed to playing that way. And in this case, the Ravens are. They're physical across run defense, pass coverage, pass rush, obviously, blocking for each other. I kind of wish Patrick Queen just took it up the right sideline, but nonetheless, it worked out in our advantage. I started at the end there because I felt like that was a situation that illustrates the nature of some of these picks. Nonetheless, I'm going to start this one on the first possession where George Kittle is going to get a 58-yard gain on 3rd and 7. First possession. Look, the Niners got some big plays. Like I said, I think they had 7 plays of 20 yards or more. It's a 5-man rush, man coverage. Marcus Williams a little bit late getting over there to Kittle's on the in-breaking route, and we're lucky that he doesn't take this to the house. Look, Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton played amazing football games, and I'll try not to belabor the point here because I'd like to do a separate video on them. This is Kyle Hamilton's interception. He's obviously up here at too high safety. Watch the communication that there is pre-snap between him and the other guys at the top of the screen. Not sure what was said, but think about the routes that are run. It's 21 personnel. I didn't think 21 personnel was extremely fruitful for the 49ers. I thought we matched up with it very well. You're going to get Juszczyk on a little in route and then Kittle on a little out route. Nothing to occupy Kyle Hamilton at all. Saw this route, leading up to the game. Nothing to give Kyle Hamilton any reason to have to go with George Kittle out there. We've got a corner covering it. Brock Purdy, I just disagree with Troy Aikman. Oh, we throw this football here and it's going to be complete. It's a touchdown. I think Hamilton, as soon as the ball is in the air, he's breaking. And he's not breaking before the ball is thrown because he knows the game. If Purdy works off of that and goes somewhere else, Kyle Hamilton wants to be able to react, number one. Number two, he wants Brock Purdy to throw the football. I think he checked pre-snap because I think he knew the routes. I can't prove that. I'll give you the end zone angle so you can see his communication up here. So he's the safety to the boundary, and he's clearly getting something out to the corner and to Queen. We get an interception after that. It's very balanced, eyes on the quarterback. The moment that Brock Purdy throws this football, Hamilton is breaking. So, I don't know. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you agree with Aikman and you think it's a touchdown and the 49ers are going to be up 7-0. I don't think it's that simple. I think it's an illustration of the Ravens being multiple from a coaching standpoint, but players adjusting on the field pre-snap and communicating with each other and ending up in the right position, to me, is not a coincidence when it happens so many times in one 60-minute football game and in one season. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Going to move to the second possession here. Not going to check every play. Probably going to illustrate too many plays for you guys. This is 2nd and 5. Brandon Ayuk against what I believe is cover 3. Down here to the bottom side of the screen. I thought Malik Harrison played well in some spots. His drop might be a little too shallow here down into the boundary. We've kicked him back as an inside linebacker, so we're really in a 4-3 look here with the Sam into the boundary and the Will to the field, in this case Queen. Not that the ball was completed because of the depth of his drop, but he's a curl flat player. The line of scrimmage at the 40. and I've only got him at 3.5, 4 yards depth, whereas the other curl flat player to the field, 7 or 8, which is a little more standard. You teach 9 to 10, but you know you're probably going to get 7 or 8 because players and their adrenaline. But in any case, Ayuk, he's a talented player, man. He wins to the outside in this deep out against Brandon Stevens, 18 yards. 3 plays later, this is actually the end zone angle of that play. My apologies. As we go through here, try to keep mental track of how many different coverages the Ravens are playing. Like I said, that was cover 3. You saw quarter, half on the or cover 6, if you will, on the 7th possession. This is the 4th and 1 that doesn't count from a Ravens standpoint, obviously, because you get the penalty on Darby at the top of the screen against Willie Snead. It's a sack from Marlon Humphrey. It sucks that it didn't count because, well, the 49ers get a field goal out of this, number one, to go up 5-0. Number one. Number two, it's another statistical designation for Marlon that would have counted in a game that was brilliant for him, if you ask me. I wish he had gotten this sack, and I wish he'd finished off the tackle for loss against Deebo Samuel. Check out his communication pre-snap as well. So Marlon communicating here, I think he's just basically telling guys exactly what's getting ready to happen. I mean, he definitely motions to himself. I think he's talking about Ayuk. I got him. And then prior to that, he had motioned to the running back in the backfield, McCaffrey, who ends up being covered by Queen that's 2 feet from Marlon. That doesn't look like a coincidence to me. Ayuk steps down to block the edge defender, so Marlon is absolved of his man responsibility, but still makes some contact with McCaffrey or impedes his route. That's what I'm going to continue to try to stress throughout this video, if I remember while I'm talking this much, is disrupting things, forcing guys to bow their route out a little bit more. It's 4th and 1. They're trying to get the ball to McCaffrey. Excuse me. You do have secondary routes, developing up here. Obviously, the hold is on Darby against Snead. It's a clear hold, if you ask me. That's the level to which the Ravens force them to execute. And then you have to ask yourself, it's 4th and 1. You're the San Francisco 49ers. You've got a Hall of Fame left tackle who played for 2.5 or 3 quarters, to my knowledge. And you got Christian McCaffrey. Why aren't you running the football? Maybe it's because the Ravens force you into bad decisions because of the quality of their play. 2nd and 9, 2 plays later. Going to be an incomplete pass out here into the flats. The Deebo Samuel, who's lined up at running back right now. It's kind of this one-man screen. One of the 7 times the ball got knocked up in the air by a Raven. In this case, it's Clowney down at the bottom side. This one-man screen, I love the concept. The Ravens utilize it as well, meaning there's a fullback running out into the flats and a receiver in a staggered or layered release that to me seems obvious. They're trying to get the ball out here with a blocker in front. That's why the fullback is staying behind the line of scrimmage. The Ravens ran this even dating back to last year. J.K. Dobbins, huge reception up the right sideline against the Cincinnati Bengals in the wild card playoff loss. All right, 3rd and 9, very next play. And I love this, man. It's a match coverage, if you ask me. Split field, match, whatever you want to call it, against empty. McCaffrey with the short motion and Kyle Hamilton all over him. I think you've got guys just matching this up. It's not man pre-snap necessarily, but focus on this up here in a moment when I replay this back for Patrick Queen. Marlon didn't get a big piece of Christian McCaffrey on that 4th and 1, the 2 plays ago that I showed you. And Queen doesn't get a huge piece either of this receiver, but it's the constant level of physicality that is there that just impedes the receiver's releases or routes enough such that they're not necessarily in the spot that they're supposed to be in. This is a 3rd and 9. Kyle Hamilton played an unbelievable football game, if you ask me. Just another, that's Christian McCaffrey that he just shut down there. Anyways, Ravens are able to get a field goal after that possession, pull to within 5-3. Fast forward 2nd quarter. This is 3rd possession now. This is going to be Deebo Samuel up to the top side for 15 yards. I think you've got quarter, half, cover 6. And Brandon Stevens is the flat defender. Again, you got Samuel in the backfield. So after the motion, he's going to get out here and operate man-to-man on Stevens. Well, in space, individually. It's not man. It's quarter, half. Sorry, let me run that back one more time so you guys can see the way the coverage works out. and how our receiver or how our DBs are spread across the field. Flat defender, flat defender. The only difference is Hamilton's the nickel. That's the outside corner up here. I think you've got half. I think you've got quarters. And then Marlon, yeah, he does. He isn't at the depth of this safety here, but he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be matching routes, and he's not going to guard grass here and give up an out route in front of him. He has safety help on a vertical. So there's different people who will talk different ways about quarter, half, or cover six. To me, the Ravens are playing this better late this season than we did earlier in the season, or even than we did in 2022. I thought certain coverages last year got better over the course of the year, improved. Cover 3 being one of them, and this is one that I think looks really dangerous late in 2023, although in this case, on third possession, Purdy hits Deebo Samuel for 15 yards, kind of like what some people would call an anticipation route. Still third possession. This is going to be Marlon's interception. 21 personnel bunch, and you got double bullet. Interesting, man, here. When you watch Purdy and everybody else on the field, the other 9 guys on the field, it's a run play. This is a run play. When you get Ayuk motion across, keep in mind, the 49ers are very left-handed dominant as far as running the football. They ran to the left almost exclusively last night, but Juszczyk is going to work up on the backside. Watch these guys run block. And then I'll run this back a couple of times so you can see Purdy look over there. Maybe he's coached to do this, or maybe he was told, hey, look, this is the area of the field where the Ravens run a bullet blitz or corner blitz, whatever people call it in your terminology or the terminology. The point is, I'll try to pause this a couple of times so you can see Purdy. He's stepping to the left. McCaffrey is stepping to the left as well. You've got Juszczyk working up, and this is all run blocking as we let this unpause and flow. He looked over at Stevens. Now he's looking back at McCaffrey, but he realizes I've got a blitz here. So maybe he's not coached to do this. Flips his hips, tries to get it out there to Deebo Samuel. You clearly got a lineman working up here. Juszczyk working up as well. Unbelievably athletic play by Brandon Stevens to get it up there. And again, people say the Ravens are fortunate to get all these turnovers. Man, those dudes were fortunate that we didn't take 2 or 3 of them back to the house, this being one of them, if you ask me. Again, it's third possession. They had crossed midfield. So, yeah, they had gain yards. You saw the 15-yard gain, 2 plays, or the previous play that I showed you, to Deebo Samuel. This is just athleticism and awareness. Brandon Stevens isn't just running through space. He actually sees it developing in front of him and reacts to it, swats it up in the air properly. Amazing football, man. Those guys deserve all the credit in the world on the defensive side. Moving to the fourth possession. So kind of like this little bit wider bunch look or trips out of 21 personnel. And then a sweep path by Christian McCaffrey. People call it, wide zone if you want to, man. It's just a sweep path. But watch Travis Jones close down on the backside of this and hammer McCaffrey. Additionally, Broderick Washington wins here. I think Matabike ends up on the ground, and these 2 guys had linemen in front of their face, but that's what you need. If people are going to work up quickly to your linebacker level, then somebody on the front level's got to win once they combo off. This was the third big, not to this point, this is the third big hit that I can remember McCaffrey taking. It didn't impact his productivity. He still had 100 yards rushing, like I mentioned. But there was a level of physicality that the Ravens brought. I don't know if the 49ers see that level of physicality all the time. If there's 49ers fans that are listening, first of all, thank you. Second of all, feel free to let me know in the comment section. I'm sure they've had really physical games. The point is the Ravens, I thought, out-physicaled them for large parts of the game, probably 2.5, 3 quarters overall. Jones is working here on the backside, closes down against Deebo Samuel, and absolutely him and Washington obliterate Christian McCaffrey on the front side. The resistance was there at times such that some of the plays that worked for the 49ers or would go for a 4 or 5 yard gain only went for 1 or 2, and your star player took a huge shot in the process. There is a real element there of dissuading the other team's offensive coordinator from calling some of those plays in the future. Fourth possession again. And this is going to be Deebo Samuel breaking a tackle by Hamilton and by Madubuike. And then Hamilton back involved in play. Almost reminds me of like a basketball. Deebo Samuel's a stud. So is Kyle Hamilton, but Deebo Samuel's a stud. Almost reminds me of like these NBA plays where a guy pump fakes or drives by a defender and maybe manipulates or contorts his body to get around a second defender, and the first guy that he juked or left recovers and blocks his shot. That's kind of what this reminds me of. I don't know what Kyle Hamilton's basketball comparison is. That's the only sport I can think of. There ain't other Kyle Hamiltons in the NFL with that size and speed and an ability to recover and make plays like you see here. Ends up being a 3-yard gain on a 2nd and 8. Kind of like a cover 3 type look that I think is broken a little bit by the play action nature of it. Pretty unique play, if you ask me. Kyle Hamilton missing the tackle, and then when he gets back involved in a tackle, he's actually trying to strip Deebo Samuel. So now here we are, the very next play, still 4th possession. Cover 3, if you ask me, and an awesome illustration of how multiple this defense is and what Mike Macdonald and those guys expect. Ends up being intercepted by Hamilton. So you're going to focus on the brilliance of Kyle Hamilton here. I will too. As we go back through this a second time in the All-22, and even from the end zone angle, just want you to check out how the Ravens are getting to this cover 3 and who they're doing this with. I feel like this is a guy who is involved in a lot of things, a lot of big plays every week, even though he's not involved in, quote, making the play here. As we go through this, I'll try to pause it a couple of times and just check Purdy out. Sure, he's seen this stuff, but has he seen this many different coverages from the same team in the first 4 possessions? It's a unique thing, if you ask me. So on the snap, Queen going to work out here. Cool, kind of standard. Stone going to middle of the field safety. The other safety, Marcus Williams, spinning down to curl flat. Cover 3, you normally have curl flat, hook, curl defender, curl flat, deep third, deep thirds, deep thirds. You can line up in it and you can play it. Hopefully you can see that well enough. But the Ravens are doing this. Roquan Smith is running to the hook. Patrick Queen, who was lined up inside, is going to the curl flat, and then you can already see it. Kyle Van Noy is running to the hook. There's your cover 3 designation. 4 under, deep, deep, deep. The Ravens just get to it in a unique way. And it's awesome work by Marlon Humphrey. Staying with George Kittle, challenging the play. He played a brilliant football game. Marlon Humphrey's played dozens, maybe 50 brilliant football games for this Ravens franchise. This, to me, has to be top 8 or 10, maybe even more than that. So this is end zone angle. You'll get a great view of this. Roquan working all the way there over here. Queen working there. Stone is going to be the middle of the field free safety. And then Kyle Van Noy working from outside in, basically him and Queen Xing it. Am I saying that it confused Brock Purdy? I don't know if I'm willing to go that far and say that it confused him. But we know this. We were very multiple. We were very efficient. We're in the right spots in terms of the coverage. And there's so many times where Brock Purdy doesn't throw the football. I mean, there you have 1 + 1 + 1. It stands to reason that we can, calculate that it equaled 3. We had an impact on his ability to process things. Kyle Hamilton's brilliance, I think, goes without saying there. Let it run through one more time. Forgive me if this is too elongated. I think this is a win for the ages. It's a great football team over there. Really classically created offense. Designed to thwart modern defenses in a lot of ways, and Mike Macdonald has one of the most modern defenses, I think. And he went in there and dismantled this crew, particularly in the first 4 possessions. So if my video ends up being too long, please feel free to let me know. 5th possession, hey, look, the Niners went right downfield, made it 13-12. Credit to them. Big runs by Christian McCaffrey off the left side. Going to move to 6th possession, third quarter, And there's 2 possessions here that follow the same pattern. First down run play, not much at all. And then 2nd and 3rd down passes, next to nothing. Again, the Ravens are able to get stops. Clowney dodging inside here had an impact on these ace toss plays. So when I say ace, you got 12 personnel here. Ace, And when they motion one tight end across, oftentimes the tight end to that side will take on the edge defender. And once that edge defender, is expanded somewhat, the second tight end motion will kick him out. Well, Clowney wasn't down with that at all. Clowney's like, nope, I'm going to end up on the inside of it. I'm going to disrupt the whole damn thing. Now, some would say, hey, man, it's your job to set the edge. Well, Marlon's trying to get outside arm free. Clowney's got outside arm free on the second tight end. I think Roquan's flowing over the top a little bit. Maybe could fit back here. You'll see the end zone angle, and feel free to let me know. I know it's Roquan Smith, and I ain't, I got 1/1000th of the knowledge that dude does, and maybe 1/1,000,000th of the talent level. But I love how Clowney played this. He recognizes the formation and that this is what the Niners want to do on this motion. So he dives inside of it. Instead of expanding that area and giving the 49ers what they want, he made them go another route. And that's my point overall with the video is the Ravens force the 49ers to do things away from their dominant hand, to use another basketball reference. Can other teams recreate this strategy? I don't know. I mean, I think that the Ravens have a very unique set of athletes. This is Justin Madubuike splitting a double team and making a tackle for a 1-yard gain on Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's kind of standard at this point in Week 16 for us to see that. Madubuike's here. You certainly get a big lane for McCaffrey to maybe cut downhill, but this is designed to go off tackle. This is designed to go off here, outside of that area, with most edge defenders' helmets being on the opposite side of this tight end. So Clowney's inside, tight end's out. Most edge defenders are outside, and what's happening is they're getting expanded by the second tight end. So the lane develops off tackle between the edge defender and the D tackle, 3 technique, whatever. It happened closer in this time. I think Roquan's a little bit flowing over the top. Didn't matter. Madubuike made the play for a 1-yard gain. Ridiculous example of how well-trained, how versatile, how multiple these guys all are. Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Van Noy are ridiculous additions. I hope we should re-sign them right now. So, very next play, 6th possession again, 2nd and 9. Again, this is third quarter. Tampa 2. Haven't seen this yet. When the Ravens run it, they run it to perfection, and they get a brilliant tackle by Patrick Queen. This is teaching tape, if you ask me, from the standpoint of being multiple, not giving it away pre-snap. The only thing that maybe you could say, quote, tips your hand a little bit is you've got this slightly deeper alignment by Roquan Smith. Look, some of the guys we coached high school level, we're playing Tampa 2, we're telling them line up at 6 because, we want them to potentially run with a vertical, and that's not what their skill set is designed to do. That's not the body type and fast twitch stuff that they have. This, to me, looks like a Tampa 2, but Roquan never turns his hips to run with a vertical, so I'm comfortable if someone just says, hey, Coach, I just think it's a cover 2. On a 2nd and 9, giving up a 4-yard completion to George Kittle. There is a lane there in the pocket to throw from for Brock Purdy, but he had to go through multiple steps just to get to that. And that's what this Ravens defense does, man. It reminds me of great NFL defenses. 3rd down, and we go man-free. Kyle Hamilton on McCaffrey down at the bottom, almost intercepted. I think it's Darby against Willie Snead here. Watch this. McCaffrey trying to release. This is the 3rd time I've seen it in the game. Just a piece to disrupt McCaffrey's route. Purdy is stuck in the middle of the field. He doesn't know. Middle field's open, so fine. You got that? He wasn't necessarily going to get time to come back to Deebo Samuel, who to me looks like he has Marlon Humphrey beat. I mean, maybe he could work back to it now, but Queen is there, and Queen disrupted or attempted to disrupt McCaffrey's route. Queen with a legal hit, L-E-G-A-L, legal hit on the quarterback, who then trips over one of his offensive linemen's feet. That's that contact, that physical contact that he's talking about, presence, and we nearly intercept it. Beautiful possession, if you ask me. 3 and out to open the 3rd quarter after we were up 16-12. Then, of course, we go up 23-12, and then 30-12, and then 33-12. We're not done. We'll move to the 7th possession. The play that I showed you earlier, quarter, half. Again, if you ask me, cover 6, 7th possession. Queen's interception. Travis Jones out here at 5 technique, working on the right tackle. Don't know the nature here of who's in at right tackle for them. I don't care. It's an NFL team that scores 30 points per game or 29.7, something like that, and we're week 16. It's their job to have personnel such to try to replace injured players, just like it is the Ravens' job. And we have that. Macari and Falele are responsible choices to come in for Morgan Moses and or Ronnie Stanley in the event that they're hurt or we want to rotate them. So do not feel a whole lot of sympathy at all because that's the nature of football. Quarter, half, again, Stevens in the flat. I'm saying this is our half defender. It certainly looks like, and I'm fine if people want to give pushback and say, well, that's a half defender there. I think Marlon is potentially going to be the quarter defender, so I think these two add up to 1/2, 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 2/4, obviously. What tells me is that Hamilton's out here playing curl flat, and the flat defender on the other side is the outside corner. For us, that was always a dead giveaway that it was a called quarter, half, but you never know with the Ravens if they're checking a split field coverage and then just matching routes. Doesn't look like they are to me. Awesome moment where it looked like Queen was going to take it to the house. A lot of effort, a lot of tenacity by Queen to break some tackles. Check out the communication pre-snap between Clowney. I guess he's communicating to the corner out here. I don't know if that's our sideline. Let me check back real quick. Don't think that's our sideline, but I could be wrong. Yeah, he's communicating with our sideline. I didn't notice that earlier. So he's inside of the tight end. Awesome moment. That's a real dynamic in football is your defensive guys on your sideline checking with you pre-snap. And Jadeveon Clowney is very multiple, experienced, and smart as hell. Some of your inexperienced guys are the dudes you put on your sideline. Like, I want him near to me so I can tell him what to do in situations like you just saw. As it stands, Travis Jones destroys the right tackle. Queen gets a pick. Everything was difficult on the plays that I showed you. Of course, there were 7 plays, gains of 20 yards. I think I only showed you one of them. So was the 49ers able to develop things offensively? Sure. They're a great team, great system, great coaches. I would expect them, if we played them again, to be able to score 20, 24 points or more. The Ravens, however, have shown them that each decision they make, run play, pass play, screen, whatever, has a consequence and a risk factor. I would say this to summarize the Ravens defense. The risk factors, the risk involved with each of those decisions is higher with the Baltimore Ravens because they're more athletic, they're more intelligent, more versatile, and better playmakers across the board when the football's in the air or when the football's on the ground or when the quarterback is in front of them. It probably sounds very simplistic or an elongated way of saying, I think we're bigger, faster, and stronger than everybody else. I think that is one of the elements. We're also very well coached, and guys are willing to give themselves up so that someone else next to them or behind them can make the play. To me, there's no bigger illustration of that as it stands right now in 2023 than Patrick Queen. I don't know whether we're going to re-sign him or not, but to think about him not being on this team and seeing the level of unselfishness that he plays with is a difficult thing because he's a guy who's climbed the ladder from how he was talked about and criticized, even by our own fan base. It didn't happen easy for him like it did for Kyle Hamilton, like it did for Marlon Humphrey and others, where things happened easy for them. Marcus Williams. It didn't for Patrick Queen. And to me, he's one of the guys that is the most fun to watch because he's down with that level of physicality, and it's intentional. The way the game's supposed to be played. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Ravens come out for the 3rd time this year and basically blow the doors off a really talented football team with a lot of great players. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would appreciate this defensive breakdown of what the Ravens did in San Francisco on Christmas night, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it on social media to help this content get more reach.